In the past few years, Linux gaming has really come a long way. A lot of this is because of the huge push from Valve themselves in order to get it to run as smooth as possible inside the Linux environment. And that's what we'll be covering in this video. Welcome to Vensire Studios, and let's get this going. As usual, chapters will be located inside the description below, or you can use the seek bar also to jump into any area that you feel is most relevant to you. But with that out of the way, yeah, let's get onto my computer hardware that we're going to be going over first. I use an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X. This is coupled with 64 gigabytes of G-Skill Trident Z RAM, along with an NVIDIA 5070 Ti. Both Windows and Linux are on their own separate SSDs, but they are both a Crucial P310. I grabbed them right before everything went to crap, and Crucial, disappeared. Thank you, Micron. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into what does not work at all in Linux. Any game with kernel level anti-cheat. So if you're, say, if you play Fortnite, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, WiVRn, or Battlefield 6, this will not work for you. It will not work for you whatsoever. Kernel level anti-cheat does not work inside of Linux because this is something that, as it states, attaches with the kernel inside Windows itself when you boot into the system. So that will not play nicely with you at all. Apex Legends used to not have kernel level anti-cheat. I think it was this past year that they implemented it, and Linux players were kind of pissed, to say the least of it. EA is working to get their Javelin anti-cheat working inside Linux. I'm not sure if it's going to be trying with the full kernel level, or if they're going to dump that maybe in the future, but we'll have to see. This was announced several months ago, and so far there hasn't been updates on it, so time will tell what goes on with that, and if they'll get that fully up and running and to play nicely over here. I think it's only a matter of time before they get certain things swapped around so that it'll play nicely inside Linux itself, as the gaming environment becomes much more friendly for gamers themselves. But again, that's a thing that's a wait and see, so to speak. But with that out of the way, let's get right into gaming. I believe I said in the intro, like 90% of the Steam library works inside here, and honestly, probably every single game that I have inside of my Steam library probably will load on up and just mostly play nicely. I don't know if everything will, because I haven't tried everything. But I know at least all the games that I have installed here, along with a bunch of others, will work for it. I'm trying to get modding working inside Skyrim, see how I can push it. But that's a topic for another day, or maybe a live stream on my other channel. But yeah, if I just go in here, I select a game. I'm actually going to select one specifically for a reason, showing you that I have no advanced settings, no extra steps being done. All I did was install Where Winds Meet, and all I gotta do is just click play, and the entire thing will launch. Once it's done downloading whatever content this game wants to show you or add to it. So, come on. This is a problem that goes on in general. But that's just any game, I guess, loading inside. Other than one thing that I will be covering in here before getting over to the launchers and so forth. But here we go. I think this game has easy anti-cheat. I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I will load one up with it after to show you that it all plays friendly. Okay. So you see the game's loaded up. Just gonna go ahead and tell it to resume, and you'll see that, it plays. So we're fully in, it's fully up and running. Again, this is on NVIDIA hardware, so I'm gonna show you that all the different settings that are in here, including I am using DLSS on this one, so it has a full support for those in here, including frame generation if you choose to use it. I do only 2x. I'm not gonna go any higher than that. But yeah, you do have those capabilities of running it, and everything is on like ultra and high. So yeah, if you just want to get into Linux, load up a game or install the game and load it, most of the time you should have no issues. If you do have some issues, there is a site for that to help you with it. You can go into here. This is called ProtonDB. It'll be located in the description below for you to run over, but as you see here, we could just go run down here. It'll tell you how well it runs. Native obviously means that it's got its own Linux version. Gold and Platinum means that it should run pretty much without issues. Silver and Bronze, you might have to look up things to get it running properly. Well, if it states like here, borked, it means it's broken. It won't work. Don't even try. So like look up Battlefield 6 borked. It will not run. Where wins meet? Let's see where this lands on here. Platinum. So yeah, this game launched and it immediately worked on Linux. I know because I installed it the day it launched and it loaded up right away. So a lot of AAA titles or new games and things like that should work directly inside of Linux pretty much on day one, especially modern titles with like DirectX 12 and so forth. And if it's Vulkan, it really should run immediately for you without any issues whatsoever. But yeah, another game that worked immediately on day one was Killing Floor 3. I had to get this game because I loved Killing Floor 2. So it's wonderful to see that you can just do this without adding any extra steps to get it working. Anything else in general for it? No, there's no extras in general for it other than now going outside of Steam itself and covering other launchers. Epic doesn't have their own native launcher. Neither does GOG. GOG is working on getting their own native Galaxy launcher for Steam. I don't know if Amazon has their own launcher or not. I'm gonna guess they do. I've never. I don't have it, but there is a current way of doing it regardless, and it is called Heroic Launcher. And we're going to start with this one right here. Before getting into some of the other ones where you're installing a native launcher and using that. So inside Heroic Launchers, you see I have a bunch of games that are for here. These are from Epic and from GOG. And that is going to come on, manage accounts. So here you can choose your language and whatnot, but I got Epic and GOG both signed in so that I could see my games. Amazon, I said I don't use, but they'll be right here in the library. You can then select whichever game you want to launch and tell it to play. You can do it with logs in case you want to be more advanced and show people, you know, share with it if you have issues with it and work with the community and so forth, and maybe people can help you get it working if you have major issues inside a game or so forth. So again, all these games will play. Obviously, you can show Fortnite in here. Won't work. Don't try it. But all these games, a bunch of them that I have on here, all work. Shadow of the Tomb Raider using the benchmark section. Witcher 3 seems to have no issues. Haven't played much of this. I really got to play this. I got it. I got it when they had a certain thing for a bunch of free games during a certain card incident, you could say, for certain transactions. And this game came with it, and I'm glad it did, and I wanted it, so I should play through it. But now I'm rambling again, and we should move on to the other launchers. And this is going into the native type launchers. This is Lutris. Lutris is another way to get certain things installed, and they have ways for you to install native launchers as well in order to show the games. Obviously, I run GOG through, like I said, Heroic. It doesn't have an issue. I've never used Ubisoft, so if you have in the past, let us know in the comment section below, you could say, on how well this runs, or, well, if it doesn't really run well, you know. so people will know, but I have Battle.net installed through here. And that was a simple setup just by clicking the plus button here and tell it to just install it from the executable like you would from Windows. You just follow through the prompts after you downloaded Battle.net. You could go here, you just name it Battle.net. It'll give its own identifier. You could choose, you'd probably just leave it on default. It shouldn't have an issue. Just tell it to install. Set a file. Install where you want to install it. I'm just gonna label 2 here real quick because I need to have a selected file. So go here, downloads, and there's Battle.net, and then it'll go through, it'll set it up for you and let you know when it's done. And then all you got to do is just launch it. In fact, I think I have it in here also. Yeah, right here. So I just would have to search for it and tell it to launch. Downloads, okay. While it is doing its own downloads and maybe updating this, I'm going to be covering shaders, because that is one of the downsides you could say for it, especially inside Steam. Like, if I try to launch Phasmophobia after an update or so forth, or when you first install it, it probably will pop up with a shaders thing saying launching and installing shaders or updating them or so forth. And normally, or sometimes it only happens one time, but if there's like graphics updates or so forth, it could happen again. And there is a way to kind of avoid that issue. That is, if you go to the Steam section up here on the top left, go to settings, go to it's under downloads, and to the bottom you'd see these two shader pre-caching section. Usually this one is clicked for pre-caching. The second one down here, allow background processing of Vulkan shaders, usually is not. So say you got home from work and you want a game, and then you can turn on your computer. If this is enabled and so forth, and you launch Steam, it'll automatically start pre-caching these shaders and so forth, so it doesn't waste your time to loading into the game. Or if you get home and load it up and immediately try launching a game, it's got to update the shaders, it'll pop it up. Technically you can skip it, but personally I don't. I want to just let it run through and go through. It can be annoying sometimes, and sometimes it takes some time, but it is just what it is. You can kind of see the same thing over here as well. I don't see it right now. Just gonna close it out. See Battle.net launched without a problem. But sometimes on the bottom left it'll say recompiling shaders, or I believe that's what it states. If I could catch it in later section, I'll show it and bring it up, and bring up an image while after I'm done with this recording and editing it and so forth. But every game I've played inside of Battle.net has not had a single problem so far. That includes, well, Warcraft 3 Reforged, StarCraft 2, and Overwatch. So I'll show you here. The only downside is you can't get more advanced options unless you do more editing, maybe saying getting it added inside Lutris and whatnot, the game itself, but you might have to relog into Battle.net and so forth, and it might be a little arduous and annoying. But yeah, here it is. It's launched. No problems. If I click play, can I go to practice range? Yeah, entering practice range. And I didn't do anything extra other than, you know, get Battle.net installed through Lutris. And this is another game I believe is a full platinum on this is another game that I believe is a platinum, or at least gold. But this is another issue to bring up. I don't know if that's happening in Windows. When you first load up, at times it won't be showing projectiles and so forth until everything is loaded in. I don't know if this is a shader thing. I'm doubting this is a Windows problem that would be happening, but that usually happens within the first minute. So you can see not everything is as perfect as can be, as maybe you would you and I would hope for. But this is showing that is not always being perfect is leading into my next one, you could say. And that is, well, it's going to be EA Launcher. That is the biggest pain in the butt that I've seen. So let's go here, go to exit. This is another issue. Sometimes it doesn't pop right up down here for exiting, but there we go, it's out. And as I had just brought up is EA Launcher. And with that, we're going to go to library. Now you see I have it right here. I'm going to tell it to play. If there hasn't been an update, it'll launch fine. If there is an update to EA Launcher, it will not update properly. And the only way people that I've seen that, oh, there it is, compiling shaders right down there. The only way I've seen to get past that problem is to, say, do a fresh install inside of Lutris, which in itself will not work fully properly. And it'll say abort at the end. You don't abort it, you go to the location of where it's installed, and then you copy and you paste the changes into Steam. And I think you got to change the location of the EA app itself. It's so convoluted and annoying. I don't know if this is being done intentionally, because I think it did work like 6 months ago with the updating, because of them trying to work it in Linux or so forth, and everything they have planned. But it's ugly. It's the best way to put it is it is ugly, but as long as you have it running, it works fine. I don't have any issues launching my specific games that I would be playing and so forth. So like right here, I'm getting into here. I think I might have to alt tab that real quick. What is it showing that thing for? Yeah, it's showing EA app and then it goes away on its own. Okay. I don't think this is set to borderless. That's why it kind of popped on up the way it is. So yeah. Come on, load into the game, you silly thing. Thank you. I'm actually in the middle of a playthrough right now, so I'm not gonna jump around into the next section and whatnot. So okay, let's go ahead and quit. So yeah, like I said, there's an update. This does have issues. This has quite a few problems, and it is quite annoying to deal with. So maybe certain things will be done in the future that'll get it working nicely. See, I'm also, like I mentioned before, I'll have issues with it for exiting out there also, and hopefully they get things playing properly. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, that's covering the general launchers and so forth, at least what I use and whatnot. What seems to play nice, what doesn't obviously play nice. And with that out of the way, we're gonna get right into benchmarks. Okay, so I'm gonna cover games first, then the two benchmark softwares that I use. I used Unigine Heaven, not the Linux native one. I used the one for Windows for DirectX 11, and then I used Steel Nomad for both DirectX 12 and a Vulkan. The first game we're going to be covering, I'm going to go from worst to best results here. This is using the built-in benchmark tools themselves. I'm not going to go, I'm not fully advanced to be doing, you know, everything that they use for like Steve does from Gamers Nexus or Jay's 2 cents or, you know, LTT. So, yeah, these are just all the built-in ones and what they are. All settings for Horizon Zero Dawn are on maximum ultra quality or ultimate quality that they have. And on Windows, it got average FPS of 212 on Windows. On Linux, it got an average FPS of 172. And that percentage difference between Windows and Linux is a 23.26. So yeah, that's kind of an ouch there on this, mind you. Again, I'm on NVIDIA hardware. This is not quite as optimized as it is on, say, Windows itself still. This is running version 595.84. They're supposed to be having even more better compatibility in the 600 series drivers that are coming up next, but they do take some time before they do release them. So yeah, it is what it is, and you got to take it for what it is at this point in time between it. So The next game is Shadows of the Tomb Raider. Windows average was 206, while Linux was 170, with a percentage difference of 21.18. This is where it shows that in the next game, it can come out really good. I only did 3 different benchmarks here, so this is the last game to be covering. And that is Cyberpunk 2077, but on Windows, it got a max FPS of 175.44, and on Linux, it got a max FPS of 163.75, and the percentage difference here is only 7.14. So when things are optimized well for Linux in, say, certain titles, you can see that this does an excellent job and there isn't too much of a difference. This is closing in on margin of error, finally, between them, and that's wonderful to see. So, loving to see more of this in the future and what happens with the 600 series drivers with NVIDIA on Linux. But with those 3 out of the way, we're now going to be moving on to the other synthetic type of benchmarks. In Unity in Heaven, I used this for the DirectX 11 test, and on Windows it got a average of 197.7, while on Linux got a 176.1. So the percentage difference on this was 12.27, so still not as bad as how it was, like, say, Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, I don't understand why those two were so far off in it. So I don't know if it's because of older DirectX 12 or something or so forth, and they just haven't optimized it with the NVIDIA drivers, but it is what it is. You just got to take it for what it is and look at those ouches and take the L there. Now, we can move on to Steel Nomad DirectX 12. Windows had an average FPS of 68.97, while on Linux was straight up 65. The percentage difference here, again, it's kind of like with Cyberpunk 2077. The difference on it was a 6.11 difference between the two. So it can run well on Linux, depending on how well things are optimized and so forth. And the same can be said for the Vulkan version of Steel Nomad, where Windows got an average of 73.42 and Linux average was 70.09. Percentage difference of only 4.75. It speaks for itself. The total difference between all 6 combined is a 14.27, which kind of aligns with the 595 drivers themselves, which they were saying should be around a 15% difference overall. This is a lot better than the 590 and older drivers, because when I originally was watching Jay's 2 cents and his testing on it, he said they were seeing on Cyberpunk 2077 a difference between, what was it, 20 and 30%. I was on a 3080 Ti at the time. My perceivable difference was only around 15%. And I was like, what is going on? Why am I not seeing this huge of a difference? And then I got upgraded to my 5070 Ti and I saw the same thing until the 595 drivers came out, and I was like, what is going on here? Why is this such a major problem? I don't know why there would have been such a huge problem and a huge issue. There just was. So whatever they did in this newest driver between probably the 40 and 50 series and maybe the newer DLSS and the Tensor cores, something was different between the 30 series and the 40 and 50. So they're kind of fixing it. They're working on it. Thank you. Please keep at it. That's nice to see. But yeah, that covers, you could say, the benchmark section, I guess. And now we can move on to the more advanced settings. I use Nobara Linux, and certain things are immediately installed on here. One of them is Game Mode, the other one is Gamescope. These two are used for optimizing things as much as possible inside here. If you don't have them installed, they're usually decently easy to install. Let's bring this back up. I don't know why I closed it, but we can go here and say Game Mode is the easiest to install. So say you're on Ubuntu, Linux Mint, or so forth. Yeah, Linux Mint Ubuntu version. You could just go install Game Mode Ubuntu, and that's simple to install. Sudo apt space install space game mode, and it'll get it installed. If you don't see it, do sudo apt update first, then tell it to install and whatnot. And the other one I'm talking about is GameMode Ubuntu. This, I believe, is a little more complicated. No, sudo apt install. Not, I didn't mean to install GameMode Gamescope. So yeah, here you go. Sudo space apt dash get space install Gamescope, and it'll get it installed for you. Now you might need to install this repository first, so as it shows here, add the PPA. You can just have the copy here, and then paste it inside the terminal. Then do the same for here as well. After you get the app get updated, and then you get it to install Gamescope, and both of those will be working. The reason for this is well, two things. Inside Steam here, I'm going to show you it in directly. Like you see, launch options. Here's game mode. With game mode running, it's supposed to optimize it for lower latency and so forth, and prioritize the game that is running. Gamescope, you can get more advanced settings like changing resolution, forcing borderless full screen mode, and grab the cursor. Say if the cursor is here, then you got two monitors and you move it over, it could move into the other monitor when you don't want it to, and so forth. And then you could just make sure that it all stays in the regular monitor and whatnot. You see it down here, you need these two dashes, I believe. Maybe you don't all the time for Gamescope, and then you need this little command section, and it solidifies and finalizes what you're trying to do with the launch options. So these are just nice little caveats that can help if you're having an issue launching the game and so forth, and you're in ProtonDB. You may see them suggesting using these more advanced options and so forth to getting it run more smooth. The same thing can be said inside of Heroic Launcher and in games you have installed on Lutris. If I go to Mirror's Edge here, you can see instead of Ed, you could just click it here for turning game mode on, and then Gamescope, you can enable it directly in here on how you want to do it. Yeah, you could do that here, or you just like on Steam, you could just put in the advanced options and so forth, and just get it typed on in, and then it'll just run. You don't need the command thing at the end. I've never needed it, but these are just little extras that get things hopefully running a little smoother for you. If you're running an older game, like again, Alice the Madness Returns, I'll just launch it real quick and I'll show you. It'll being a DirectX 9 title, you didn't have borderless full screen on Unreal Engine, I believe it was 3 at the time, right? And this allows these games to run in a windowed mode, and that way you could just swap around, jump around, and so forth for whatever else you want to be doing when you maybe aren't just directly sitting in the game and whatnot. So yeah, we'll just let this load on up and just exit on out. We all love these unskippable intros that pretty much started coming to fruition when games like this came on out. So yeah, that's really it. I think that's covers pretty much all the basis of the video. If there's any other things that I'll include, it'll be in the future video or so forth. Like I said, I might bring up how modding seems to work now inside of here in general with the launch of Wine and Proton version 11 plus. It's supposed to be friendlier for the modding community and whatnot. But in the next video, I'm going to be going over using OBS inside of here because, well, honestly, worked kind of well. I'm going to cover setting things up, getting it installed, getting add-ons set up and so forth, what I use to get all of this set up, and what you can do to make sure everything runs smoothly in order to get your scenes and everything else and what extras you may have to do in order for it to play nice with that. So yeah, I'd say that finishes up this video. So if you liked the video, hit that like button. If you didn't, you know what to do. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, leave it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed what you saw here, please hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified whenever a new video drops. If you're already subbed and so forth, thank you so much for supporting the channel, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye!